At the KSMO Studios 1340, welcome to our first Thursday of the month. That means we have our friends in the Conservation Department and the Forest Service. We can't get rid of Thom Haines. He's still here. Son of a gun. We tried to dump him last month, but he came back again this month. Never know. I'd say he won't be back next month, but yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine. Kind of like a bad dream.
I couldn't resist.
That's okay. Hey, if you can't enjoy it, it isn't worth it.
I know it. And we got Jason Midyett with us today. Hey,
good morning.
Good to see both of you guys here today. A little bit wet outside, but we do appreciate you making it in this morning. Who's going to take your place, Tom, on our show?
Yeah. I've talked with Dave Massengale to kind of.
He hates coming in here and talking.
Yeah, right. And he's so bad about it, too. I mean, he's terrible. I feel for you, Stan, that you'd have to interview him, you know.
He just doesn't like to have any fun at all.
No. But I asked him to kind of take the lead for whoever the detailer will be in behind me, and then also when the new ranger comes on to show them the ropes here, too.
Very
so
good. Well,
you're stuck with us.
February 28th. That's supposed to be the last day.
That is going to be the last day.
That's what Sally says.
Yeah, that's
so
what.
that means
no
it's going
joke.
to be the last day.
Yes, that's what she said.
Doesn't matter what the government does.
Yeah, I don't care if your paperwork isn't done. You're coming home. So.
Very good. All right, and Jace, how you doing, man?
Good.
Doing good. Very good. Okay, well, we got some numbers. Conservation Department. Tom, you in a hurry? You're good to go?
I'm good.
All right, very good. Let's go over some numbers that I know the Conservation Department has released for the year. We got some numbers on hunting. We got some feral hog numbers. Goodness gracious, you got all kinds of stats for me. So what would you like to start with? Hunting?
Well, we can talk about the deer harvest.
Let's do the deer harvest.
Since the totals came out, they came out a little bit after our show in January, so talk about the harvest totals from last year. Our final harvest was it was 290,300 deer, so it's not a record, but we had a pretty good harvest. They calculated all the harvests throughout all the portions, archery, the alternative methods, firearms, and then it was actually 290,339 deer harvested in all those. And then one of the top county was Franklin with 5,826 deer. So
that's a lot of deer.
And it's not too far from us there, but Callaway came in second, and then Howell, which is in the Ozark region,
None of those are that far away.
No, so they all had over 5,000 deer harvested during all portions. So a lot of deer. Dent County, we were down from a little bit last year. 2017 total was 4,037, and then this year we only had 3,107. So just down just a little bit. And what we can attribute that to is the mast crop, the acorn crop, was tremendous this year. So. We went from a year where last year you saw deer in the fields all times of the day and didn't have any mass for them. So they were out browsing in the fields trying to find any food source. And then this year was a total opposite, and deer were seldom seen out in the open, and it just makes hunters, they don't see as many, and it's the deer don't have to travel far for food and then water, and then they're not up and their patterns change. So if you don't adapt your hunting strategies, then you're not going to have that much success. So, but anyway, that's the totals for 2017 and then this year 18. Our breakdown for Dent County this year was 1,438 antlered bucks, 1,312 does, and then 357 button bucks, and that's all portions combined, early youth, firearms, late youth, archery, and then alternative. And then we don't have the antlerless season here yet, but our district conservation team, which is Phelps, Pulaski, and Dent counties. The team consists of all divisions: private lands, forestry, fisheries protection, outreach and education, all these divisions. We have a district conservation team, and we were recommending trying to up our antlerless permits for next year to include one more, allow folks to take any deer, and then 2 antlerless permits. Right now in Dent County and the surrounding areas, but our counties only have 1 antlerless permit available, so we feel that our population could sustain that, and then but there's a lot of factors go in with the biologist, and then each year Dave and I, the agents in each county, and then biologists in each county, send in a deer population status report, kind of talking about whether our population's increasing, the amount of deer we're seeing on the landscape, what landowners are telling us, farmers are telling us about damage, and then we make recommendations each year, and then I know for the past few to several years that we've been recommending, that our population has been increasing here in Dane County. I think historically we probably have more deer than we've ever had,
Right,
just
I think so.
based on the number you can see and the number of road kills and things like that. So, and then even our harvest, a few years ago, we led the region in harvest. So, I think we wound up 6th in the state actually.
It was
Yeah.
it was
I mean,
quite a boom
so,
in that
yeah,
year without the acorns all over the place.
Yeah, so it's been a few years back, but it was one of our our better years. So, but anyway, that with all those factors combined, the DCT will make a recommendation to the regional conservation team, and then they make a recommendation to the regulations committee to see if we can get those, and the deer biologists to see if we can get an increase in the number of permits for antlerless deer.
We'll probably hear about
So-
that April, May.
Well, it'll probably be July when our regulations pamphlets come out.
Well, I thought they'd
so-
make that determination by April or May.
Yeah, they
They
might,
They have to print that
yeah,
all out. Usually
right.
we get something about the upcoming
Yeah.
seasons and just as a prelude, and then of
Right.
course then they put the
Yeah, and then
booklet
the actual regulations will come out in July.
Right.
So, and
So
then
we'll take a look at that when it comes out, see if
Yeah.
they made that change.
So-
That would be
yeah, we'll see.
interesting.
So we'll see if they follow our recommendation and go from there. But
Very good.
I think it would be a good idea to start trying to harvest more deer, and with CWD,
Getting close.
kind of encroaching across the state. We have 11 counties now with CWD that have been found in it, and then so they're currently doing culling operations in those management zones.
Right.
Crawford County now has had a positive, so
Right.
just right next door to us. But
And
Franklin,
Oregon County, which is just below
Yeah,
us.
it's a
So
couple
they had
counties
3,
south,
I
so-
think, this last time out, if
Yeah,
I'm not mistaken.
and then I think a couple more like Taney and Stone have been added to that. So
They
it's-
know the problem's rampant in Arkansas. It was just a matter of time.
Right.
before it
Yeah.
got-
It was probably 2 years ago that Arkansas had detected several positives just south of our state, the border. So in our southern counties, we know deer move back and forth across state lines. So it was just a matter
Really?
of
Do
time.
they have a
So-
permit?
yeah.
Do that?
But
There's a little deer crossing signs right
right.
there.
Yeah,
State
there's
line.
no fence to keep them.
Yeah.
keep 'em in Arkansas or-
Fence won't keep a deer.
No.
You know about
It has to
that.
be it has to be tall. So
Super tall.
Yeah.
But then if you've got an opening in that fence, they'll find the opening.
right.
Absolutely.
But
No
yeah,
doubt
so
about
Arkansas, they're a couple years ago they had several positives. I think it was in the 90s, 90. I don't know the exact number, but I know it was a high number, and one of those was just 13 miles south of I believe is Ozark County, so Ozark or Taney County. So
So when they did the testing of the CWD, that's the first weekend of deer season, right?
yeah, and then they actually taxidermists were sending in samples for about half the state. They were collecting
Okay.
samples for the department and sending those samples in off of deer that they were getting brought into their businesses
Right.
and helping us out with some sampling. So,
There-
but the mandatory sampling, that was just opening weekend, and then
Right.
and then now we have the in those management zones, there's culling effort going on to cull out deer in the actual ground zero hotspot,
Right.
and to test. And what they're trying to do is keep the rate, prolific, prevalence rate, I guess,
Mhm.
is what they call it. Just trying to keep the prevalence rate low, and then just to try to figure out if we've got any more positives in those areas where we know we've had a positive confirmation.
So there's
for the
no
disease.
proof that CWD actually harms humans if they consume this
Right.
deer, but
Right.
because we know that there's probably people that got a deer this past year, and it might be CWD in there, and they went ahead and harvested it, and
Right.
because they didn't have to have it tested. There's a possibility of that happening, and then
There
they
is a
went ahead
possibility, and
ate
then
it.
we offered free testing around our regional offices and for anybody who was concerned about that. So, and then they get their test results, I think, in 4 weeks or so, Yeah, the CDC, they don't recommend if it's a positive, and then if you, a lot of times you can't tell. CWD, they could carry it up to 4 or 5 years, they say.
Right.
So you can't just tell by looking at the animal if it's a positive. So
Yeah, I think you said last time a lot of people see a deer that looks a little bit sickly, usually ask to have it checked.
yeah,
You know.
they've asked, and we've sent some of those off. I haven't heard back. We had about 3 samples, I think, from Dent County that the deer were looking sick, but it could be a number of different things. There's different diseases in deer. In the rut they get injured, and then they may have a brain injury from fighting, or
And they can get an infection like a human can,
right.
too.
Yeah, and we see that sometimes, or sometimes it'll be archery wound that they've sustained that wound in archery season, and then firearms hunter comes along, shoots a deer, and finds it's unfit. Once they field dress it and start to harvest that animal, they find that the meat's been spoiled or ruined, and it just due to some type of injury, infection, or something. So there's EHD, the blue tongue type disease that we had a few cases of that this year. It wasn't that rampant like in 2012. We had several deer around the state, and then even here in Dent County succumbed to that because of the drought and the concentration. The deer concentrate around the watering holes, and that disease is caused by it's transferred by a midge fly that bites the deer and transfers the disease, and then it's a hemorrhagic disease. So the deer is hemorrhaging, and they're feeling a fever, so they go to water, and usually we'll find them around streams and ponds and lakes and things where they may die right in the pond or the water body. So, but they're really usually pretty close to water, and it's usually during a drought year.
And when a drought year, it's harder to find water, so
right.
then everybody goes to the same watering hole from the same location.
Yeah, and if if the fly is there that's carrying the disease, the chances of the deer in those concentrated areas to get infected. So
a little bit of a down year, but this next year could be a boom one again.
Yeah, it could be. I think our population is healthy here.
I know we have a lot of deer
with all the reports and the sightings we have, and then the number of collisions, and then deer getting caught in fences and things that we get reported to us. So I think we have a healthy population.
All right. So we look forward to
Look forward to that
2019 season. It'll be here before you know it.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, March 1st is time to start getting all your licenses, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. The last day of February, everything expires. So, March 1st, of course, we have our trout opener at Montauk and around the state at the other trout parks. So, good time to renew your fishing, hunting, small game hunting, fishing, trout permit.
Number of ways to do that now, isn't there?
Oh,
you
yes.
Go to your old vendors that you've been going to for years. That's one way. Or you do a couple. You got a couple of apps, don't you?
You can carry the app on your phone, download it right to your phone, carry it that way. Get online, computer, and go to our website and do it that way. So there's a number of options for folks out there, and then you can carry it electronically now. You don't have to have the hard copy. You can print out numerous copies, keep one in your tackle box, maybe one in your glove box, or your hunting vest, or whatever, where you'll always be sure to have that on you.
Should always have one paper one just in case.
Yeah,
what
in
if you
case
lose
your
phone?
Well, if it's like my phone in the cold weather, the battery life, this phone, the cold weather just zaps the battery.
Right.
So.
But if hunters are out there, sometimes they put a phone usually if it's cold, especially they put it in a pocket that is out of their way. And if it falls out, you're probably not going to find it again.
Right.
So unless you call it and you just happen to be close enough to hear it, but you have to have somebody else calling it. And of course, in some areas of Dent County, that won't work either.
No, if you don't have service. So.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the turkey season's coming up. We also have some managed hunts for people that if they like to apply for them, that can be going on right now.
Yep, till the 28th of February, you can apply for the managed hunts. They're at different locations throughout the state, so just get online or contact one of our offices, and they can get you the information. But you can sign up online and look at the area that be closest to you, or maybe you want to travel somewhere in another part of the state. But there's several different areas that offer those spring managed hunts.
Now, some of those managed hunts do have a requirement of attending a class or
Yeah,
something of that nature, and if you can't attend that, you can't hunt, right?
Right. Yeah. Some of them have maybe a safety meeting and then just regulations meeting for the area or to tell you where to hunt on that area. So some of those are mandatory. So check and make sure you can attend. The night before or whenever it's scheduled for that area. That way you're allowed to participate in the hunt. So
Yeah, you don't want to go through all that trouble and then not be able to do it. Well, I can't make the meeting.
Yeah, and then folks are drawn for that. So don't get drawn and then decide not to go because if you cancel on them, then there's other people that are missing that opportunity. So
Right.
make sure
And
you can
they
go.
don't go back.
I know
and try
things
and-
come
I don't
up.
think they go back and fill that, do they?
No.
No.
No, like we had that managed hunt at Montauk in December for their deer hunt, and I think a couple of the hunters came down and checked in, and then it was about 9:30, before 10 o'clock. They came back and they're like, "Well, thanks for letting us hunt," and just they're like, and took off after 2.5 hours or 2 hours of hunting. So.
That's not the
Kind
purpose.
We were like, we wish you'd stay and harvest some deer. So.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah.
why we wanted you here.
Yes. So
Okay.
Anyway.
Now we start talking about spring turkey hunting. That's going to be coming up. There's a youth period as well. So that's the first weekend. Is that the first weekend? in
Yeah,
April?
it's in April.
I think it's first weekend.
And then let me pull the
It's in.
calendar up here real quick, and I can.
Somehow I think 6th and 7th is just knocking me in the head, but I'm not sure that's right.
Let me get to April here.
You will know.
I know it'd be the 6th and 7th, and then our opening day will be the 15th this year.
Okay. So youth hunts the 6th and 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. And then now turkey season is 3 weeks.
Yes, yeah. In the
Okay.
spring, we're still a 3-week season, and then regulation. You're allowed 2 birds with a visible beard. So, we don't say 2 male turkeys, but because we do have bearded hens, but they have to have visible beard. And then the regulation is you can kill 1 the first week of the season. So even if a youth hunter harvests one in the youth season, they have to wait till the second week to harvest their
Second one.
second bird. So
All right, very good. Turkey
Yeah.
hunting season will be here before you
Yep.
know it. That's very good. This all of a sudden becomes a very seasonal time for a lot of different
Yeah,
things. Obviously,
spring's a
ta-
busy time of
it
year.
is very busy, and we talked about catch and release programs
Yep.
in Montauk, and
We'll have
that will come to an end after this next weekend, correct?
On the 11th is the last day. The 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th are your last 4 days for the catch and release at Montauk.
So you get all pumped up for opening day.
Yep.
don't we?
And then, with all this rain, hopefully we'll have a, hopefully it won't be a flood stage or anything, but we'll have good water and we'll have a good opening day. So
That'll be good. That'll be good.
yeah, that'll be on a Friday this year, March 1st. So we're looking forward for a larger crowd than normal. So folks planning on that 3-day weekend. So,
Yeah, you bet. Should be
So yeah, we
hopefully a
should.
really good turnout. I hope the weather's perfect.
Yep. So yeah, but that's just we're less than a month away. So, but the 11th will be the last day of the catch and release, February 11th.
Okay, very good. And of course, then opening day, March 1st, and everybody will be ready to go. And again, we do want to remind simple little things, and I know they're not big, but do remember that some of the old waders that people used to have, you can get that rock snot on those.
Yeah, the
things.
felt
I mean,
sole.
most of those are gone now,
Yeah.
but there's still a few people that have them back in those closets. Jay, we all know they
Right.
pull them all out. They may not be able to go for the last 3 years and think, well, I'll just pull out my old waders. Probably not a good
Yeah, just
idea.
they need to read up on the Didimo and
Mhm.
how to seal those waders and prevent that from spreading. But
Lots of chlorine on the bottom help out.
yeah,
a lot.
and I think they still have a station there, a wader wash station
thought they
there
did.
at Montauk. So if you want to disinfect your waders
Mhm.
prior to going, and then after you've been fishing, you can still do that. So
Yeah, because they changed the design of those waders so they don't have those gaps in there.
Yeah.
The Didimo can hide in there.
Right.
And just hold and wait forever. It seems like to get give me a little
And
bit
I
of
haven't-
water.
I know Arkansas had a few water bodies with that. I haven't heard that. I think we've done a pretty good job of keeping it out of
It only
Missouri
takes
water.
one.
So. But yeah, it's devastating if it
Yeah.
if it's introduced into our streams,
we don't want it.
it'll be devastating.
We don't want it at all.
No.
So anyway, again, don't forget your permits. Don't forget your licenses. March 1st is kind of like the opening of everything, isn't it?
Yeah. Because whether it's a leap year or not, the last day of February is always when our permits expire. So our permits for 2019 actually went on sale December 1st. So some people may have already renewed, but just letting you know you're able to buy those now if you want, and then do have them by March 1st if you're planning on hunting, fishing, or
whatever.
whatever you
Yeah,
plan
whatever
on.
you're gonna do. Is any particular seasons in effect right now, or is this the?
Well, our small game still go till the 15th.
Okay.
So rabbit, squirrel, we're still able to. You're able to get out
Harvest
there.
those,
You don't have very much longer, but small game.
Got a
yeah.
week.
Yeah, it ends on the 15th.
There
So
you go. It's got a week.
so get the hounds out and chase them.
Yeah, you get that
rabbits
day
or-
after Valentine's Day. Get out there. Hey, honey, you stay here. I'm gonna do some hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Be romantic about it.
right.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Very good. So everybody's looking forward, obviously, to the opening of trout season.
Yeah.
You know, we always are. Everybody is. And so we hope that everything goes well. Just remember to look out for your fellow man down there and be courteous. There's a lot of people that
Yeah, it
gather
gets
along
crowded,
the streams.
so-
And, knowing the weather, it could be cold, it could be warm, but it could be rainy, kind
Yeah,
of like
we've
we had
seen
today.
snow on the ground, and we've had 70
Oh, yeah.
degree temperatures on opening day. So there's a wide range of possibilities.
I haven't seen the estimate that they expect to see this year yet.
I haven't seen that yet, and off the top of my head, I don't remember how many folks we had for opening last year. But I'd say with a Friday opener,
Oh, it'll be more.
it'll be busy.
Yeah,
I mean,
I remember that one Sunday was 70 degrees and they set a new record.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah, it was jam packed down there. Of course, it was 70 degrees. Why wouldn't you be out there, right? Yeah, it was a lot of fun. All right, very good. So, what else you got to talk about?
well, they released our feral hog numbers.
Uh-huh.
What we removed in the last year with our partnering agencies and private landowners. Let me look right here. It's 9,365 feral hogs, which is an increase of 2,804 from last year. So we had 6,561 last year. So
That's a lot of hogs.
a lot of
And
hogs.
there's a lot more out there, aren't
Yeah,
there?
we've gotten a few reports of areas here in Dent County from landowners seeing rooting activity, and so we're trying to set up cameras and get the hogs on camera, and then bait them into trapping operations. So,
Right.
but yeah, we've had a couple sightings. We've trapped a few hogs here in Dent County in the past year. So,
Right.
but yeah, they continue to devastate the landscape.
Secret is don't shoot them. Call
Right,
you guys right away so you can get a trap set up. Because you can get a lot more
Yeah,
in your
and
trap
then,
than you can
know,
trying to shoot one.
if you go online, I think they've got a few pictures of the traps, but you can just see that you can get pretty much the whole sounder in there if you bait them in and get them used to coming into that trap. And they're using a lot of the drop traps now, where the whole trap is up in the air, and then it's remotely triggered by the operator to drop it on the whole sounder and capture numerous pigs. Where some of the older traps we'd only get 2 or 3 with the trap door and the trip wire. So, but yeah, the traps are more effective now, and then the trapping has always been more effective than hunting the hogs, because hog does not have a home range. From the research they've done, they collared some pigs and found that when they would do the arrow gunning or the hunting, they would disperse hogs and they would run for miles and then set up another sounder in another area.
So again, just make sure if you do happen to get, evidence of feral hogs, just call the Department of Conservation.
Yeah,
Tell
get a
them
hold
what
of
you
one
got.
of us.
Yeah,
And
because then you guys can come out and verify that's not something else.
Yeah.
Number one. Then number two, you'll be in contact with the people that set up the traps, right?
Yep. And then we've got access to the traps, the bait, and then we'll look forward to working with landowners to get those off their, because it doesn't take very long for a sounder to tear up 20 acres or so.
And to breed.
Yeah, and then they're, you know, they're prolific
Yeah.
breeders. They just can have up to
I was going to say 3 litters.
three
makes them
litters a year. So
Wow. It's a lot of hogs.
yeah.
It's a lot of hogs. All right, very good. Anything else going on exciting?
No, just you know, the usual in or early part of the year stuff, training and inventory
Right.
and things of that nature.
I want everybody to remember that, too, the Georgia White Nursery, you can still get your seedlings.
Yes.
And now you can actually start picking them up here in the month of February. You'll be able to go get those. So if you have a need for that, you can contact the Georgia White Nursery. You guys used to have some booklets up the extension. Do you still have those?
I think
up
they do.
there. Okay.
They should
for
have.
those.
And then
If, of course, if somebody can't find them anywhere, there used to be a
you
number.
can contact one of our offices. They can
Mhm.
print that off and mail it to you, or
There you go.
or if you have email, they
And
can
get
they
the
can
order
it.
form in. Remember, it's first come, first serve on those seedlings. If you want persimmon and they're out, you're out for this year. You just have to
Right.
get them next year. But
Yeah, no black
contact
walnut.
them.
They're
our friend
usually
Mike
in high
Mike
demand.
Fione's out there. Maybe you can do us
Yeah.
a favor. Hold some back for us. Wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that's Mike. He won't do it. No. But anyway, the Georgia White Nursery is another location. You can go over there, but they prefer you to order them by phone or fax or email by now. But they got a form in your I think it was the September conservationist this year. It's really early, and it's in there. So if you still have one of those, you can go in there. Otherwise, go by the extension office or contact the conservation department. You can even go online, mdc.mo.gov, and order that, and they will send you the booklet. Or the form, the order form, or you can contact Georgia White Nursery. They can mail you one too.
Yep.
First come, first serve.
Yeah, if they run out of species,
They
then
run out. So get
they
your
don't
order
have-
form, fill it out, send it in. It's really cheap, it's like 22 to 90 cents a seedling, and some of those, and shoot, you get 10 seedlings for $2. Crazy. So if you're gonna do that, you may as well get a bunch because it's gonna cost you $8 handling, no matter how many you have.
Yeah,
So get enough. We done?
I think so.
We're
Just-
done. Very good. That's great. Well, fantastic. The only other thing I want to remind people about is our great conservation areas we have in Denton
Yep.
County. Spring is a wonderful time to take advantage of them, and I know right now you're saying, are you crazy? It's 38 degrees. It's raining. You're right. I am crazy. I wouldn't go in there either. But fantastic conservation areas we have around. Once it starts to warm up, people start using them. So, again, we want to remind everybody, there are a bunch, some that aren't used as much as others. That
Right.
doesn't make any difference, but check them all out.
Well, and then Shawnee Mac is close proximity to Salem, so
Mhm.
we've got a hiking trail out there. There's an archery range, 2 boat ramps, so
Probably kind of wet out there today.
and a pavilion. Yeah, I mean, on a day like today, you're probably not going to want to be out there, but,
Yeah, pretty wet.
there's 2 lakes, so get out and enjoy it.
Right. You've got a number of different areas all around the state. Actually, you've got conservation areas all around the country, and some are pretty cool. So definitely want to check those out. When you're in a different state, you might want to check those out. But here in Missouri, I think, what do we have, 28? Is that where I read somewhere? 28 conservation areas?
Oh, there's more than,
Well,
And-
in our region.
oh, in our region?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know the exact number in those
I think
regions.
it was 28. I don't know why that number's setting with me, but I know there's a couple over by Bismarck and a couple more, over by Ironton and Pilot Knob. I know there's one over that way, but I think Dent County, Iron County, Reynolds, and it didn't include Shannon. Maybe it's Crawford. I think it's like 28. That's just in our area. So
Yeah.
you go over to state, there's hundreds.
Well, and there's,
Yeah.
federal areas as
Right.
well, so.
Right. So check those out. Those are always good. And everyone's unique. It has something different. And I guarantee you will find something different, every one.
Yep.
Either it's a habitat for maybe birds, or it could be some unique geological structures or something. There's usually something different in every one.
And then a lot of those have natural areas, designated natural
Mhm.
aries on them. So like glade area,
Right.
there's a glade at Indian Trail that a lot
Yep.
of people don't even know about, and so there's a lot of different features. Maybe like down south, some of the wetlands. So
Mhm.
get out and explore and enjoy them.
But there's some here in town or in our Dent County that you probably never even heard of.
Yeah.
Some are out west. You may not have been to, and some aren't very big,
Right.
but they're still there. But check them out if you have an opportunity. go to a map, you can find them on the map. And I think the state map still has conservation areas that are little, small, little,
Yeah.
little green.
Yeah.
So you can find them there, and then you can go, if you want to, on mbc.mo.gov and just click on the area, and you can get a bigger view of that.
Yeah, and then
find out where they are.
you can print out the regulations for the area, and then you can also download the maps.
There you
and
go.
Print them off PDFs.
Are those on any of the mobile apps that conservation has?
Some of the like our accesses will show up
Mhm.
on that fishing, and then I haven't played with the actual areas on the other app, but I know on the fishing app it'll show you the actual boat ramps that are
Mhm.
available in the area you want to go fish or the water body. So
But some of them don't have water, so
right.
But no, I'm not sure they're all on the mobile apps, but you can definitely find them online at mbc.mo.gov. So if you got your phone with you and you're in town and you're having a breakfast or something, just click that in there and put in conservation areas, and it'll show you all of them. It'll actually list them, I think, if you do type them into your search box. I think it lists them.
Yeah,
There's a
depending on
bunch.
which county you want to click on, you can click on who's my local forester, and
Right.
or whatever, and it'll give you all the department personnel for that county, and then I think you can also click on link to give you all the areas for that county. So
There you go. There you go. That makes
So-
it easier. So just click on that.
and then
Anyway,
it'll-
go check them out.
but yeah,
We invite everybody to check out your conservation areas. They're there for you. That's what your tax dollars help pay for. Very good. Thanks, Chase.
well, thank you.
Appreciate you coming in. Tom, you still here?
Yes.
Oh, son, you're quiet over there.
Well, it's good conversation there.
It
So
must be that wrapping things up look to you.
yeah, yeah.
All right, so tell me, we did not expect to have Tom back, and we're glad that you are back. And it's always good to have Tom. Tom's been I guess, a rock on this show since we first started.
Ah, okay.
It's a long time. I better
Yeah.
look back and see how long we've done it, but it's been over 10 years.
Probably, and the great thing about this show is it gets really good information out to the public about their public lands. You can go online and Google it all over the world.
I want that hat, though, by the way. Isn't that a nice hat?
Yeah, I'll trip them on the way out. But yeah, you can Google this program all over the world. I've had friends in Germany who have listened to us on this program. It's so, in parting thoughts, I want to thank you for being so generous with your radio station here and opening us up to us to get the word out to the public about their public lands.
It's always been a lot of fun. See you, Jace. Take care. Have a good day. And, one of the neat things, Tom, you want to come in here? You can come in here. So you're not way back in that other room out there.
I
so-
feel like we're having a conversation now versus.
Okay. You can actually see me behind the curtain. Yeah. Yeah, the way the studio's set up, we actually have Tom in another little boothed off area, but he's.
It's quarantined.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. But could be. You could slide that door closer. You could quarantine. One of the interesting things that we've been able to bring with this show is the different things that our National Forest Service has, the different areas we talked about with Mark Twain National Forest, and from Potosi to Ava, and the different things involved, ATV trails, different things with our different locations. We've talked about Sutton's Bluff, we've talked about Loggers Lake, the different things you guys do, drawdown lakes, milfoil. I mean, there's a number of different things that hopefully people gotten educated about in their own area. I was at the health fair yesterday, and I met a lady who said she found out more about her community by listening to these shows than she ever got anywhere else.
Yeah.
And
the other thing that I like about it is when we're with our partners, because we work very closely with MDC, Missouri Department of Conservation, and even though we're technically different agencies, everything we do is pretty much the same. It's taking care of the resources for the public, and we work very closely with them. So,
number of different things that goes on that kind of overlap.
Yes.
State Forest uses the Department of Conservation's hunting regulations, for example. So there is that cooperative overlap. Let's put it that way. That's
Yes.
a good term. I should
Yes.
I should coin that one.
okay.
Cooperative overlap. I wonder if I send that off, we can get that patented to stamp. Probably not. Anyway, we can always try though.
All right.
But anyway, we are glad that Tom is still with us. But February 28th,
Yes.
No matter what, that's gonna
No matter
be.
what,
You're gonna hang up your 4 screens.
I'm going to hang up the 4 screens and start to get the backhoe out and I shouldn't say that backhoe. I'm thinking of the hoe itself and get the garden going
And you're gonna work with your bees and still do the
work
honey,
the
right?
bees and Miss Sarah Massengale's already got me tied into the community garden. Back again on that, she, oh, you've got time. So yeah, she caught me about 3 months ago on that one. So
She better ask Sally about that time. I'm sure she's got a few hundred projects for you to do in your spare time.
Oh, I didn't tell you about my Christmas present, did I?
No, a list?
Yeah, well, for Christmas, I got a book from Sally called 59 Household Projects. And all the pages are folded of the projects she wants done around the house. So
Not all 59.
not all 59, but yes.
But there are plenty of them. Well, let's still talk a little bit about what this government shutdown does to the National Forest Service. Obviously, a lot of people weren't working.
Yes.
We know that, but some people were working.
Yes.
You want to tell us how do they distinguish that, Tom?
Well, the big thing was, and this is my interpretation. First of all, the dedication of the Forest Service employees. I was telling the gentleman from the Salem News that the one thing about most of our employees who work with us, they chose this career. Unlike my mom, my mom had 3 kids, single parent. She had to find any work she could get to put beans on the table.
Right.
And she did all kinds of work. And God bless her, she raised me. Most of us, we were able to say, ooh, I would like to be a wildlife biologist. I would like to be a district ranger. I would like to be a soil scientist, So we chose this. And I know it's going to sound corny, but our dedication to serve the American public is there. And so when this happened, the agency got together and they said, well, okay, what can we do to recognize the fact that there is no budget, but yet we know we still have things we need to do. And the way we're funded, sometimes we have what we call previous year's dollars.
Okay.
And so they gathered up all those, and so they said, oh, well, guess what? Because this is from KV to do prescribed burning, we can still have our fire crews come in and put in landline, or not landlines, but fire lines.
Fire line. Okay.
For, and we were funded out of like $2016. So those dollars are not tied up. So when people did see us out working, that's how that was taken care of. And then, of course, there were employees like myself who were deemed, no, we need you there. If we didn't have all this wet weather and cold weather we had, and we were in fire season, it would have been a whole different story.
Right.
So Mother Nature kind of worked with us in that realm, but that's how it happened. So when you did see those employees, that was going on.
Okay, but let's also talk about the impact that this has, and I'm not doing political stuff here.
Okay.
I'm just talking about the impact it has on the office because people can't get firewood permits.
They could not get firewood permits.
They can't, they can't, but they can still go in the forest. They can still camp if they want to.
That is
there's
correct.
no restrictions on that. But if you need a map and things of that nature, if there's nobody at the office,
They
they're
could
not
not get
available.
them. That is correct. And, there were many times when I was at the office, doing a conference call and, I had to walk down the hall. And as I walked out of my office, there's someone standing at the front door. And I probably shouldn't admit this, but, I'm not going to ignore someone. Again, that dedication to serve the public.
Sure.
Well, what do you need? Oh, well, such and such. Well, here's a free map, our motor vehicle use map, which is free.
Right.
Here, this will help you out getting to where you want to go. So on the side, we did take care of those, but in general, there were people that came up. I heard them walk up on the deck, and no, I did not go to the door. So they were not served, and we had a number of people that were looking for firewood permits, and we were not issuing those. Because there was no one to collect the monies.
But if they already had a permit, it was fine for them
If
to
they
go
already
in.
had a permit, they were good to go.
Yeah.
If they wanted to go camping on a national forest, they were good to go. If they had an issue, Well, you call the office, you got an answering machine. It said, in the case of emergency, please dial 911, and in that case, 911 would have gotten a hold of us, and then we could have responded to that emergency. That's not good service, but that's what we had.
And so many people, and it's unfortunate, link the National Park Service with the National Forest Service. They kind of use those, generically, I think,
Yes.
and kind of think that, oh, well, you guys didn't open the arch. Well, that has nothing to do with you guys. As far as opening the arch, that's National Park Service. But we have National Park Service lands here as well. So a lot of people do get confused because they think it's all under one umbrella, and it's two different, totally different
Yeah.
things. It's affecting the public, but it's still not exactly the same thing.
Exactly, and I love talking about this because you're correct. Like, they confuse us with Missouri Department of
Yeah,
Conservation. They confuse us with the Park Service. They'll ask me, "What's your title?" I'm the ranger, and they think I'm the ranger like the Park Service.
Mm-hmm.
In the Park Service, everyone's a ranger. In the Forest Service, only the area manager is a ranger.
Mm-hmm.
Bureau of Land Management, only law enforcement are
Mm-hmm.
rangers. So the word is really confusing.
Too generic.
Yeah, but there again, when you compare the Park Service with the Arch,
Mm-hmm.
that's a physical facility. Someone has to unlock the doors or
Mm-hmm.
lock the doors. Bottom line is they are still charged with protecting that infrastructure, if you will,
Right.
for the American people. And sometimes you have to protect it, lock the doors.
Yep.
Like our doors were locked, but they could still go out and enjoy the national
Sure.
forest.
Sure. And you could still go on the arch grounds. You just couldn't go in the arch itself and see the new museum. So there's that kind of overlay, and of course, as I mentioned, sometimes the services though get cut. I mean, the National
Yes.
Forest Service, you're out there with your tent, you do your thing. A lot of the National Park Service have restrooms. Those restrooms are going to be closed. There's nobody to pick up the trash. And they tell you these things as you go
Right.
there. There's little notes up there. Of course, a lot of people don't ever stop at those boards to look at the notes, but they should, especially
Yeah.
when there's a time of crisis and there's not going to be things picked up. So if you dump your trash there, good chance it's going to end up all over the place.
Yeah.
That's still your public lands. Doesn't help because somebody, when all this comes to an end, is going to have to try and pick it up. But you know as well as I do, Tom, you get all this wind and stuff we've had. Something as small as a little wrapper gets out there, who knows where that wrapper is going to end up?
Yeah.
In a water system somewhere. It could be in a cave. Could be covering up some ecosystem. Might get in a glade somewhere and strangle something. Who knows?
Yeah. And it's true. And, especially with, litter and trash like that, it has to be taken care of. We have a thing where if people camp a lot, well, maybe we should bring a vault toilet in. Because again, how do people take care of themselves? You got to have a healthy environment for the public to enjoy their lands. And if you have to close the bathrooms, you have to close the bathrooms. If there's no funding for that, that's just the way it goes down. So.
And the only other thing I can say is I know a lot of the, especially in our area with the National Park Service, we do know that there's been a lot of damage done from flooding in the National Park Service and getting things, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Tom, but some of those construction projects that they wanted to get done, they got to be put on hold too.
Yeah.
It just slows everything down. So hopefully we'll be able to get our government won't shut down again. There's that possibility of next Friday. It all happens again, and hopefully that doesn't happen. But it does affect quite a few people. I think people say, well, I don't use the forest, it's not going to affect me. Well, it's not just the forest. It's all these different organizations combined. And if you do want to use a forest, or like I said, somebody might be needing firewood to warm their home, and this is how they've done it for years, and all of a sudden they can't. They're put in a little bit of a pickle. Maybe they have to go find different firewood somewhere else.
Well, and to give the devil its due, it reminds me of the story my mother told me as a kid about the grasshopper and the ant. And the ant was just running around working, and the grasshopper was just playing his fiddle and enjoying it, laughing at the ant. Well, wintertime came. Ant was settled.
Mm-hmm.
Grasshopper found himself in a lot of trouble. So, my advice to people, I will admit, When I retire, I'm getting my firewood permit. I'm going to go out and I'm cutting for the winter of 2020's
There you go.
firewood because, should this happen again next year, I heat my home with wood. I don't want to be in that situation. So, unfortunately, I had enough wood to get me through this winter, and I want to make sure I have enough wood to get me through next winter.
Keep getting these cold days, though. That might run out, too.
Oh, yeah. I'm down to about a half cord now, so I'm just hoping. So.
Yeah, it keeps getting colder. Let's now that we're back to work, though, let's talk a little bit about, you were talking about getting the guys out there were marking the lines for burn, doing some controlled burns, et cetera, et cetera. We haven't really had the weather to get that done, and of course, with this rain that we had overnight, it's pretty sloppy out there right now. But these guys have marked things. There is scheduled controlled burns, aren't there?
Yes, there are. We have a number of them on the zone, which is Potosi and Salem. My fire management officer, Kevin, said that if you're concerned about where we are planning these burns, please come by the office. We're located at 1301 South Main, right across from the Crossroads Inn. We'll be glad to show you our map of the areas we are planning to burn in. But be aware, these are prescribed burns, and if the weather is not correct, we will not be burning. But if you are concerned about it, come down. We'll show you the maps. If you have any special concerns, such as my kid's got asthma and can't deal with the smoke, we will give you a call before we burn that area because we don't want to disturb. I've had that happen to me in Tuskegee in Alabama, where we sent someone to the hospital because we didn't know they had an issue with breathing.
Yeah.
And when we lit off that fire, they had issues. So, let us know about those things. And we want to be good neighbors with our neighbors.
It's all you can really do because when you get that opportunity, we will announce it. But if you're not listening to the radio at that time, or you're not, we try and put it out on Facebook as well. You just have to be near social media. And we do know some of these areas aren't that easily, contacted. You almost have to give them a call. Please be aware of these things. So if you would let them know, they can call you and say, we are going to burn today.
Yes.
And you need to, if you're going to have an issue, you need to get out. It's a courtesy just to help you get through those times. We don't want anybody getting sick. We don't want anybody being hurt or damaged. But as Thom says, they've said we're going to have a burn at 10 o'clock, and I've got a call at 10:03 saying, sorry, we didn't burn today because the winds changed. The humidity level wasn't low enough. I mean, if one item isn't right, they won't do it.
It's called a prescribed burn for a reason. The environmental conditions are prescribed. If the soil moisture is not high enough or too low, if the upper winds are not correct, the predicted winds are not correct, we will not light that fire off.
Yeah.
So
Very good. Well, we're starting to talk about the opening of Montauk. Obviously, it has nothing to do with you guys, but also that usually starts to mean our areas we're getting ready for opening, like Loggers Lake and
April
Suns
1.
Bluff, and we talked about
April 1.
getting them all ready to go. That's right. We have had some cold days out at Loggers Lake with that drawn down. Are we still going to spray for that milfoil?
Speaking of the furlough and its
boy.
effects,
Oh, boy.
when we found out we were going to go on furlough, we closed the dam
Uh-oh.
to raise the lake up because we didn't know how long we were going to be gone. And that is constantly monitored 2 to 3 times a week. So to be on the safe side, we closed the dam. So a lot of that really cold weather we got during
Just
the
turned
furlough,
nice.
the lake was full.
Yeah.
So we didn't get a chance to really get a handle on that milfoil. We have since lowered it, and we're hoping some of this cold weather we're getting will have an effect on that milfoil. So, but that's where we're at. I know that really crushes you, Stan.
Well, I've seen
You've
the
seen
lake
it,
when it was bad,
Yes.
and that was horrible. And milfoil grows fast, so if it gets out of control, it can get out of control very
Yes.
quickly. And
Yeah.
really tip our cap. You guys have done a great job in the last. Well, we've been talking about this for 7-8 years about getting that down. Have really kept that up nicely to where Loggers Lake looks beautiful again as it used to be years and years and years ago. But I just remember the time I went down there, Tom, and it was almost all milfoil.
Yeah.
There was not even much area to go fishing in, and you could see the lake. It was just covered. That's what we don't want to have happen again. And so when I hear of even 1 year, that could possibly start this all again.
Yeah. Well, you know, on the scientific side, that would be an interesting thing to monitor, to see what the lack of not having it down during the really cold snap plays. But again, I hope that doesn't come to pass.
Well, we're going to get pretty
was
cold again tonight, but we
good.
just actually need about 4 or 5 days, which we had, of pretty cold weather, and that really helped zap that a little bit. So, always looking forward to that.
So, but that was one of the effects of the furlough.
yeah, well,
but again, you got to play on the side of safety.
Right.
And so,
But we also want to remind people that now Loggers Lake is not going to have they'll have a caretaker this year, but they're not. Or do we have something different this year?
well, I talked with Mr. Chris Woods, who is head of our recreation.
Okay.
And
You
he
look like
said-
you had something to tell me, Tom.
I do. He said to make sure that I get the word out that we are looking for a campground host
Okay.
for Loggers Lake. So if there's anyone out there that thinks they would like to be a campground host, in a nutshell, basically we require that you're there. I think it's like 5 days a week. You will volunteer to, clean the toilets, the fire pits. The main thing that we want people to do is to greet the public. Hey, welcome to Loggers Lake. Oh, you're looking for a grocery store. You can find it here. Oh, you need to gather firewood. Yes, you're welcome to gather firewood on the National Forest for your campfire. No, you don't need a permit for that. That type of information. If you are, I'm making things up. Well, I'll give you an example. When I worked in Colorado, we had one campground host. They would not clean fire rings. The toilets were immaculate, but they would not clean fire rings. The next campground, he would not clean toilets, but the fire rings, so we work with the individuals,
Right.
On that. It does pay a small stipend. It's very minimal, basically enough to buy you a can of beans a day. But it doesn't, you can stay out there all summer long, enjoy the outdoors, enjoy the public that's coming down to visit, enjoy the stars. Loggers Lake is
One of the darkest
one of
spots.
the darkest skies. You can see every star God made from there, You're not far from the community of Bunker, beautiful people living around Bunker. If you're interested in that, give Chris Woods a call at area code 573-438-5427. If you missed that number, call us here at Salem, 573-729-6656. We'll be glad to get you Chris's information. And they're looking for a campground host for Loggers Lake this summer.
Well, let's see if we can find one out there. If somebody be interested in that, it'd be a great thing.
Yeah.
If you like the outdoors, well,
If you like the outdoors,
I'm telling you what.
you like meeting new people and swapping stories over the campfire, I'll be quite honest. I thought about it, but I got to take care of my bees. I don't think they'll let me move all my beehives down there.
That might.
So
That could be stirring.
yeah,
for some people to stay there.
Yeah. So
Yeah, definitely got that. Okay, so so Loggers Lake is looking for campground hosts, but Sutton's Bluff is
Steve
we're
will still be
ready
at
to
Sutton's
go.
Bluff.
Huh?
Yeah, and again, for both those locations, we're looking at about April 1st for them to open up.
Okay.
Sutton's Bluff is on the reservation system, so folks will be able to go to Reserve America and reserve their camping spot. And Sutton's Bluff does have electricity. And of course, it's right in the heart of our ATV trails if you love riding ATVs, and there's a permit needed for that. But we're ready to go this summer.
Now, do remember that Dent County has an annual permit, or you can get a permanent permit. You can get either one now.
Yeah.
So if you want an ATV, or if you have a new one and you want to get a permit for it, you can pay the extra money and get a permanent permit. It's good for the life of the ATV, not you.
Right.
The ATV per ATV, guys. And if you just want to get an annual permit, you can do that too. That's up to you.
Now, the thing to make the difference is with that county permit, you're good to ride all the Forest Service roads, that's the 4 numbered roads, and the county roads in Denton County.
Right. Just Dent County.
Denton County. And that will go for Reynolds County too and Shannon County. They have this same type of program. The funding is a little bit different. But we have an ATV trail system at Sutton's Bluff, and that takes a separate permit.
Right.
If you're only going to ride the roads, all you need is a county permit. If you're only going to ride the trails, all you need is a Forest Service trail permit.
Right.
But if you're going to ride both, you'll need both permits.
And if you're going to ride a lot of those trails and roads, you may need 5 permits.
Yes, I feel for the people that live in Bunker because they're right there with Reynolds, Shannon, and Dent County.
know,
That's
it's crazy.
3 permits right there, you know. And people say, well, why don't you guys just, make it all one? Well, it's the state laws that do it that way. It's nothing the Forest Service does. When the state came in with this law, Mark Twain was stuck with, what do we do? And we said, follow the state. So that's what we did. We followed the state.
And the state has every county with their option of having a permit or not.
Yeah, and some counties do not permit them
No, they do not.
at all, period.
So we are lucky down here that everyone does. But again, you must, if you're going to be driving those roads, if you know exactly where the Shannon County line is and the Reynolds County line is on those county roads, well, more power to you, man. I'm telling you.
You're
what.
better than I am.
Yeah, because I sure can't tell you where it is. You got an idea, but you'd hate to be sitting there 5 feet over in the wrong county and have the wrong permit. But anyway, if you have any questions about that, Steve's great down there to be able to kind of tell you about where they are and say, you need to stop out here. That big white oak tree that's on the left with the overhanging limb. Yeah, you don't want to go past that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but he's very familiar with that area. He does a great job down there, and he's got his he's got a little system down there that's just perfect for Sutton's Bluff.
Yeah,
really
he does. And he loves working it, and he loves working with the people he meets. And he started selling the permits there at the campground. But you can also get the permits at the 911 center in Centerville, where they also will sell you the county permits, and they're open 24/7.
Right.
And that is great service.
Right. And I think the Reynolds County one is, you can also get that at Highway 21 at 72.
No, Cindy stopped selling.
Did she
those.
stop it?
She stopped, yes.
I didn't know she stopped.
Yeah, she did. It got just a little bit too cumbersome for her.
Okay, that's
so we would love to have
well,
her back.
I didn't know that. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad you enlightened me on that. So I'm sorry about that. That was just a great service that they offered. I really enjoyed that. I think a lot of people stopped there.
Yes.
Underway. So, well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
That's too bad. All right, very good. What else is going on? I mean, here we're getting ready for the spring.
Yeah, we're getting ready for the spring. We've already talked about, our prescribed fires coming up. Fire is a great tool, but it's a dangerous tool. So when we get into the more drier part of the season, please be aware of that, and think about your neighbors. You don't want to start a fire and it burns onto your neighbor's property, and that includes the Forest Service, because if you're shown negligence, you will get a ticket. And it takes a lot to bring engines out and fire crews out, and the tickets can get very expensive, and you don't want that to happen. And keep your fires on your side of the road or the property line. That's pretty much about it. We are looking at some planting areas. We've got one coming up called Stone Hill, which is basically nestled east of Highway 72 and between B and 32,
Okay.
which is our next planting area. The folks that live in that area, in about a year, will probably be getting a letter to that effect about we're looking at this area and we're proposing these ideas. Right now, we don't even have ideas to propose, so that's the reason no one's heard much about it, but be aware that that's coming about. There will be a new ranger coming on some date, and we will get him down here or her down here to introduce themselves to the community here.
What about my YCC? What's going to happen with that?
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. Unfortunately, we do not have YCCs on the Salem unit. They will be in Ava
Yeah, you told us
and
that.
Poplar Bluff.
So
But what I
nobody
will-
gave those up, huh?
No one gave those up. They've got new rangers down there, and they love the program too. What I would advise you is if you have a teenager between the ages of 15 and 18, they've got to be older than 15 and not turning 18 during the program. And Aunt Sherry lives over at Ava, or Grandpa Bill lives down at Poplar Bluff. Go ahead and get the application and apply. Because as you know, we had a gentleman several years ago that did that, lived in Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Alabama or South Carolina?
Virginia, somewhere.
Yeah, anyways.
East Coast.
He had a relative that lived here and got selected. And he came here and worked all summer and fell in love with our community, wanted to stay. His sister said, no, you're going back home. But so you could do a trick like that. And what the YCC program is, it's a very good program for young people to get introduced to the careers that are available in the Forest Service and natural resources. And our careers are vast.
One of the things I want to just touch on here before we wrap up, Tom, is you actually did volunteer work to get where you are.
Yes, I did.
And some people, and you have had volunteers help you here before. If you want to volunteer, contact the Forest Service and talk to them and tell them what you can do, because there's some things that you definitely would love to have people help volunteer with. There's other things that you really can't have them do, right?
Exactly. And the thing about volunteering that I would tell people is, and first of all, the YCCs is not a volunteer program.
No, you get paid.
You're paid minimum wage, okay, but you are paid. But if you do
gotta
want to
rake in the big bucks.
if you do want to volunteer, take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
When I did my volunteering, it was with Golden Gate Canyon State Park in Colorado. I walked up and told the manager, I can give you 2 days a week, all summer long. All I'm going to ask you is to give me a place to sleep at night. And so I'd go in on Wednesday, work all day Wednesday, spend the night, work all day Thursday, and then I went home where I had a wife, a kid, and a real job. And I learned a lot. I learned how to dig post holes. I learned how to clean toilets. I learned how to contact the public when they weren't doing things legally, being professional and things like that. So that's the kind of things you can learn. So take it seriously, don't get the attitude of, oh, I'm just volunteering, so it doesn't matter if I show up an hour late. Yes, it does, because you've got all those paid professionals who are waiting on you. So if you're a volunteer, take it like it's a real cash-paying job, and you will learn a lot. And also what will happen is people will know who you are, so that when you do graduate from college or from a trade school, and they're looking for references, they'll be able to call up Stan and say, well, tell me about this guy. Well, he was supposed to be there every day for that radio program, and he was there. People love to know that about a person.
Yeah, or he got every task he took on, he got finished. There's just nothing was ever left half done. Sometimes those are very important. But, sometimes people are older people, and they just want to volunteer just to help out. So it's not a career move. Maybe they've retired.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just maybe they're only working 3 days a week now.
Yes.
And they would like to give something back, or maybe they're just interested in being outdoors, and they love it so much, but they never had a chance to do it because they were working and they were 5 days in or 6 days inside, and now they want to go out there and see if there's something they can do to help out.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask. There's always an opportunity for something that if your skill works with something that the Forest Service is doing, I'm sure they'd love to have you. Right.
And there are a lot of organizations, Mr. Maury Mertz, who works, again, with Ozark Trail Association,
We got Maury in here.
Yeah, he's not getting paid for that. He's volunteering. And he's serving the public at the same time, and at the same time, he's fostering, horseback riding, which he really loves doing. So, there is a payback per se.
Sure.
It's just not cash.
And you get to know what the rules are and what the rules aren't. You get to find the different things that are allowable and not allowable, why they're not allowable, and things that you might be able to do to help maybe push something through that maybe the Forest Service hadn't considered before. New ideas always come up.
Exactly. We've got a gentleman who's with an organization called Momoto. Okay. And what they want to do is create ATV road system that will basically get you from viburnum to eminence. So they're working with all those counties.
It's a big drive.
Yes, it is. He got the idea from a place called the Hatfields and McCoys, which is back east.
Okay.
The problem or the difference is that is taking place all on private land, where here it's going to be on private land, county highways, county roads, Forest Service land, probably Park Service, because that's a long way to cover. I'm not saying that it's not achievable. It probably is very achievable, but it's something we as an agency never thought of because it's broader than just our boundaries, But there are organizations who are trying to do things, and the goal of it that he's trying to get at is to make the economy stronger in this very rural part of America through bringing in this tourist industry, if you will. Great idea.
It is a great idea. And here's the thing. A lot of these people that come to our area, that we know come to our area, have never seen anything like the forest that we have here, or the rivers that we have here, or some of the structures that we have here. It's different. It's different in every county. It can be different. A lot of the, I know that they had the ATV run here with the American Volunteers did that, and it was very well attended. And people said they never even knew some of these roads existed.
Yeah.
Well, here's the idea. And when, we've talked about the Carcagny Trail.
Mm-hmm.
I can guarantee, I can probably count on my hand the number of people that have done the entire Carcagny Trail that I know. Okay, and I'm sure there's a lot more out there. But there are some incredible views from the Carcagny Trail that are only available on the Carcagny Trail.
Yeah.
And don't think you're going to turn on the Carcagny Trail and it's going to be there in a mile. It's not. You're going to have to venture quite a way to get to it.
Well, Cody, who's our information officer out of Rolla, he's gotten into this thing called gravel grinders. Apparently, it's mountain bikers who are getting up in age and they can't really do the mountain biking anymore, but they still enjoy getting out and riding their bikes on gravel roads. So Cody said, Tom, he said, send me a map of where you would send people if we had such a thing here. So we came out with 2 routes on the Salem district, and one of them is the Carcagny.
Yeah, it's a good trail.
Yeah,
it's a good road to take, wide enough for enough traffic. So that's the easy part.
And it's not very crowded.
And it's not very crowded. And if you want to slow down to take a look at some of these sites, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. So you need to, but you just need to be on the lookout. You have to look ahead. Obviously, you're driving, so, but you'll see it when it comes up.
Yeah.
Okay, slow down, and if you need to pull over a side, go ahead and pull over a side. Get out and admire what you see. Some of these sites are just pretty incredible. Yeah. We have a lot of those different things. One of the neat things that I remember years ago, when I first came down here, was going down to Acres Ferry. I took KK. I got up on top of that hill, and I'm looking straight down. And it was wintertime. I could see the Current River, straight down. I mean, it's straight down. I had to stop to look at this. And you're on KK, there's a hill right there. So, man, I need to pull over and do this. Well, I was in a Trans Am. It wasn't probably the smartest thing I ever did in my life. I was a little bit soft on the ground. But I had to just take a look at that site longer than a glimpse. Right. So I actually turned around, went all the way back, came back, did it again, and stopped up there maybe for 15, 20 seconds. And I parked out further enough down. I actually walked back to the top of the hill so nobody would come over the hill and hit me. But these are sites you just don't see anywhere else.
Right.
To where your trees have lost their leaves, you can see right through them, and here's this beautiful Current River streaming right along that highway, and you'd have no idea. It's in the summer, you'll have no idea it's even there. Yeah. And so don't always take things in the summer because you're missing out on a lot of views.
Yes, and this is my favorite time of the year to be in the forest because of that fact that you can see almost forever. And it's a very beautiful time to be in the forest. Leaf off.
Now, again, we're going to just end on this note, Tom. We all remember the tragedy that happened. If you are going to be in the forest, that we do not want anybody out there that's going to get lost. We do know that people coming in from the city don't really understand that there's no self-service everywhere.
None.
And there's also there's a communication problem. When you go into the forest, try and yell through 5 trillion trees. You could be quarter-mile away. You're not going to hear a thing.
Right.
Guys, you've got to understand, if you have relatives that are going to come down and camp, if you are going to go out and camp, let somebody know where you're going. Get one of those maps from the Forest Service, mark down, I'm going to be on this road, I'm going to be out here. You don't hear from me, that's where I'm at.
Right. Where you're going to be, when you plan to be back, let us know. We had, about 3 years ago, a veteran who was walking for a cause that was taking the Ozark Trail through. And that's exactly what his family did. They parked a staging trailer for him, and they wanted to know where they could stage it for him. And we told him, well, you could park it here. And I'm not saying we do this for everybody, but it just so happened that we drove down to where we told them to park the trailer near Sutton's Bluff. We noticed they had a flat tire, and we happened to have their phone number. So we called them up and said, oh, by the way, we noticed your tire was flat. You know, so when people know where you are, know to expect you. Last year, we had a gentleman that wanted to hike the Ozark Trail, the Carcadian section. Well, that's one of the areas, Grasshopper Hollow, that we anticipate burning this spring.
Yeah.
So we told him, be prepared. I don't know when you're coming, but we're planning to burn. As it turned out, the weather wasn't right. We did not burn. But that's one reason to let folks know where you plan to be, when you plan to be there, and when you plan to be back. And dress appropriately.
And also, and I know I'm going to go back to our Boy Scout days, but take a compass. You know, I know people don't remember what a compass is, but if you have a tent and you're going to walk directly south, to get back to your tent, you got to walk directly north.
Yeah.
It's not hard to figure that out. Now, if you know where you're going, you can put little markers down there. Sometimes I've seen even people put just a twig, kind of put a little twig out there just so they know that this is where they came from before. Do it, but don't try and come back at night. You'll never recognize it. The forest looks a really lot alike at night, and it's really hard to see. Now, so again, there's a lot of planning. Everybody wants to have fun, but do a lot of planning. Make sure you know where you're going. Don't venture too far away that you can't find your way back.
Right.
You know, and there are trails out there, and the best thing is if you can find somebody who's knowledgeable of the area, go with them.
Yes, because
That's
they'll
the
show you
best
those
way.
secret spots.
Yeah, and plus they probably know some shortcuts to get to those locations, rather than somebody who just stumbled across it by accident. May be hard for them to get back to it.
And they might share their favorite mushrooming location.
Hey, don't go there. That's mine. Hopefully you don't walk across something else out there. That's always the issue. Thom, has always been a pleasure all these years speaking with you and talking with you and laughing with you. We've had a good time doing this show. All the guests you brought in, I want to thank you for that, from the YCCs all the way to your fire guys, your different rangers that you've had, your supervisor who's come here a couple times, and just different people. We had some vendors that have come with us. All kinds of different people you brought in. Concessionaires. And we always want to remind people that these are your forest lands. They're your lands.
Yeah.
And Tom's done a great job of being our ranger for all these years. And I wanted to thank you for being that person and making it kind of fun to sit down and talk with you about. But a lot of these things that we've talked about are very serious things. And we do know we've had a couple tragedies that we just don't ever want to have happen again.
Right, and again, I really and sincerely want to thank you for giving us this opportunity, because so many people don't realize the treasures they have in their national forest. And their conservation lands.
I think today we're so wrapped up in our phones and things, Thom, people forget to put it down, walk out in nature and actually hear birds, listen to the wind go through trees. It has its own music. The forest has its own sounds. It does create a wonderful atmosphere. Hear the crunch under your feet, come across a stream and you can hear it. And as you come closer, you hear it getting louder and louder. People don't know how much, do you know if a bubbling stream is about 52 decibels?
Wow.
Which is pretty doggone loud. People don't have any idea. But you get near a stream and try and talk to somebody, you're going to find out how loud it is.
Yeah.
When it's going over rocks. Now, if it's just a real soft flowing stream, you're not going to have that. But you have some areas we do have some nice water rolling through, and especially after rains, sometimes they roll through pretty quick.
Yes.
So you always want to be very careful of that, especially this morning. We got a lot of low water crossings in our area. So, again, be very, very careful out there. Again, my friend, thank you for coming in and spending some time with us, and I want to wish you the very best in your retirement.
Thank you.
All right, good luck, Thom. That's been our day with our friends from the Conservation Department and Forest Service here on KSMO Radio, 1340. We thank them, of course, for coming in and enlightening you on different things going on right here in your own backyard. Just makes it more fun. We're going to take a break, come back on our Civic Record next in a moment.
When you need your oil changed in a hurry, stop in at Night Auto Care's fast